Coming in here. Let my tech get together. Let the ones and the zeros combobulate. This and then recombobulate. And we going to join this live here shortly. Tick-a-tick on the clock. It's time. What's going on, everyone? It is Lamar Woods back again for another live. And today we're going to talk about how you can become a tech entrepreneur for under $1,000. You see, there are tons of entrepreneurs out there, and when people move into the tech entrepreneurship space, they happen to think that they need to spend $180,000 on a prototype. They need to spend $50K on a website. They need to spend $30K on this, $20K on that. It is not that expensive. You don't need to spend all this money that people think you need to spend. Entrepreneurship is a lot more simple, and I'm going to break down and hopefully shift your mindset on a couple of those things that make you think that that's impossible. And so before you even get to thinking, oh, well, I don't want to be a tech entrepreneur. I just want to use tech for my entrepreneurship, for my ventures, for my business. I want you to know that it's cheaper for you as well. And so these same principles that I'm getting ready to give these beginning entrepreneurs will help you in whatever your business is, whatever your get down is, whatever the get down is on your get down. You need to get into this town and clown with your boy Dragon. Okay? In today's video, I'm bringing this topic to you because I made the mistakes. I made so many mistakes building my multiple tech entrepreneurship, my multiple companies in technology. I made tons of mistakes here, and I always end up making mistakes, but I learn from them, and I can bring these tech innovations, these tech revelations to you, my people, the use of the tubes. Whether you subscribed or not, it's getting hot. All right, let's roll. So, first thing I want to get into is the mindset of an entrepreneur, because you need to get your mindset right before you even think about spending any amount of money, whether it be $1,000 or it be $500 or it be just $2. Okay, you're gonna spend $2 on a Facebook ad. Hold up. Let me tell you that you're tripping already. Let me get your mind right before you even spend that too. All right? Before you spend your last $5 on some Bitcoins, on the Dogecoins, on the Ethereums, let me tell you what you should be doing. Okay? Let me tell you what you need to do. What you need to do is invest in yourself first. Okay? Invest. If you only got $50, you need to be spending that on a couple books. Okay? You need to be spending that on a course or on some training. Over at Woods&Tech, we also, not besides building mobile apps and web applications, we also do tech training. So if you are trying to learn how to code, if you're trying to learn how to build your website without actually having me build the entire thing, head on over to the website. You can see it right there, www.woodsandtech.com. And essentially, we will help you get that together. We'll help train you on some of the things you need to know. Right? But regardless, you got a small amount of money. If you got 0 to, let's say, $500, 0 to $800, you need to be investing that in yourself, because it's you that will pay you. You can start any business for any amount of money, and that business could flop. And the value in it, your let's call it $600. The $600 that you spent can have a value of $0, right? It can have a value of 0 tomorrow. And what you want to do is you want to do just like Warren Buffett says, all right? Rule number 1, don't lose money, right? If you ain't got it, don't be throwing it away, all right? What you need to do is invest in yourself. Get yourself an understanding of what you need to do. Go through a couple of courses. There's tons of courses and trainings out there that are free, right? Don't just listen to my paid training and talk about, well, I don't have the money for training. You can be trained for $0, okay? So get out there, use the money to train yourself. And then once you start to get to a little cash, once you got a bit saved up, you got somewhere close to $1,000. Okay, well, now we can start a contract. Now you can get some tech built from Woods&Tech. All right, now you can holler at your boy for reals now. All right. So the mindset of an entrepreneur is that you're going to go through some ups and some downs, right? You're going to go through some things that ain't going to work. And if you have the mindset of let me shoot this Hail Mary and take this large chunk of money that's the only cash I have and dump it into something I have no idea works, you're making a mistake. There is a certain amount of risk that you have to be able to take as an entrepreneur, but there's also a certain level of thought that you have to put into what you're doing. Most really successful entrepreneurs, they know how to take risks. They know how to take big risks. But at the same time, they know how to move in a direction that makes sense at the same time, right? When Jeff Bezos was creating Amazon, you might feel like, oh, he made a risk there. When he was leaving his company, the company was like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, I like this internet thing. You know, the internet was very new at the time. He's like, oh, I'm really into this internet thing. And his boss is like, well, what are you going to do? He's like, well, you know, the internet is growing at a rate of X% a year. It was literally over 1,000. It was over 2,000%. The internet usage was going up year over year. So that meant every single year, the amount of people using the internet was going up by thousands of percent, right? Huge numbers. So anything that he could have did in the internet space had the potential of being a good idea. Then he took it even farther. He said, well, what are people doing on the internet? What are people doing here? Most people on the internet at the time, if they were spending money, they were buying books. They weren't buying anything sexy. They weren't buying courses. They weren't buying jewelry. They weren't buying Teslas, even though you can do that today. Shout out to Elon Musk. They were buying books. He said, okay, well, I'm going to take the thing that people are buying most and move and take, instead of just starting a bookstore, I'm going to use this and take it in a direction that has massive growth, massive potential. He's leaving a hedge fund. Huge paycheck he had. He's leaving this guaranteed situation for something that had massive potential. Huge risk, but also very calculated at the same time. It wasn't just, I've got $1,000 or I'm going to take all of my money and throw it into something that I have no idea will work. That's not what he did. You have to have a mix of boldness and thoughtfulness in everything that you do as an entrepreneur, right? So, one, you don't need to spend all of your money, and you shouldn't be spending all of it if you have below a certain threshold. Two, you need to be able to take risks, but you don't need to throw all of your chances. You don't need to put all of your eggs in one basket and throw it over the cliff like it's going to come back. You need to be thinking a bit more strategic. And I'll give you an example from my entrepreneurial ventures where I made a huge risk and essentially threw the eggs over the cliff. When I jumped out of my job, when I jumped out of my 9-to-5, I jumped out and spent the majority of my time in SoHeart, right? I love SoHeart. It's my big-hearted tech company. If you're curious about what we're doing there, go into the description. I've got links below with all of that information. Get yourself a SoHeart shirt while you're there. Go ahead, get your pump on with SoHeart, all right? And start living courageously like it says here. But what I did that was a mistake was I spent 100% of my time on SoHeart. And at that point, we hadn't brought in much revenue. So I was taking my $100,000-ish of software, I'm taking my paycheck, the time that I put into getting $100,000 a year, and I'm spending that time, that valuable resource, on something that has not proven itself to make much money at all. Not even, it hadn't even made a K, right? So massive risk. It took a lot of cojones, as they call them. It took a lot of huevos, as some others call them, right? But just because I could take big risks does not mean I was making the right decision. What I should have done was worked on Woods&Tech first. I should have brought Woods&Tech to the forefront, because Woods&Tech had the ability to replace my 9-to-5 income. If you think about it, I was already working in a company building technology for other businesses. Woods&Tech is just literally a sidestep that just says, okay, well, I'm just going to control the whole deal. I'm just going to wrap this whole thing up and call it mine, right? That's a much safer bet, also with much greater opportunity. So it's a much safer bet. It's far more calculated than throwing all of my time into SoHeart, right? After about 6 months of working on SoHeart exclusively, I realized, hey, somebody's got to pay my bills. Somebody is going to have to feed me, okay? This deal is not going to work out just by itself. Just because I'm cool, just because I'm bald, just because I got a slick tongue does not mean I'm going to be all right with this cool idea. And by the way, just because you're doing something to help people does not mean you're always doing the right thing. You have to be able to take care of yourself before you can take care of someone else, right? Remember that as you're trying to get married at like 18 years old, all right? So there are these things that you need to think about as you're getting into entrepreneurship. There are mistakes that you could make by being too risk adverse, too afraid of risk, and there's mistakes that you can make by being too risky, to throw your eggs across the cliff, right? You don't want either one of those situations. So let's move on. Is there anything I missed about the Bezos story that you guys need to hear? Man, there's just so much. I actually bought a book not too long ago. Where is it at? Boom, the Everything Store. I'm excited to read it. I'm going to go ahead and share a little secret with you guys. I got this nice bookcase back there, but I only read about 30%. If you haven't watched my video around books and the way I think about reading and which books I read at a certain point, watch that video. I've got 2 books on it. One has the thumbnail is Reading Dumb, and the other one talks about the top 5 books that I would recommend for a new entrepreneur. Get in there, watch that video, read those books, get those books at least ordered. You don't need to read them all. You need to have the ability to read them all, okay? That you can't read them if they're somewhere else, right? So let's just move out of like generic entrepreneurship land, and let's move into something a bit more specific, tech entrepreneurship, okay? We're going to get into the prices and how you can actually do this deal for under $1,000 later. Give me a second. We're getting there, okay? Specifically tech entrepreneurship, there are many potholes, many landmines that you could step on as a tech entrepreneur. And I wish I knew some of these when I got started. I truly wish I had been thinking about this from a solid state of mind. But the problem with that idea, the problem with that phrase is that it's impossible. It is impossible for you to know everything you need to know when you're starting out as an entrepreneur. And that's actually the largest mistake that people make when it comes to entrepreneurship, is thinking that they have to know it all, right? You can make mistakes when you don't know much, but you can make a bigger mistake than that by just thinking that you have to know everything, right? You don't need to know everything to jump into entrepreneurship. You need to jump, okay? You don't need to know exactly how to swim. You need to get in the water, okay? That's what you need. Do not sit around your entire life thinking about woulda, coulda, shoulda, what if, it doesn't make sense. Just like I said before, figure out a way that you can take some risk without betting the whole house, without betting the whole kit and caboodle, right? Without taking all your eggs, putting them all in one basket, and throwing that basket off the cliff. I realized I needed to spend more time on Woods&Tech so that I could bring in the cash flow that was required for SoHeart, and you guys can do the same thing. You guys already have a skill. You guys are already being paid by someone. The only thing you need to do is take that something that you're doing for someone and do it for someone else. Simple. If you're going to choose a major startup idea, a supremely unverified idea to get into, I love it. It's great. Shoot me a message and we can talk about it. Post a comment under one of my videos and we can set up a conversation about it. And I'd love to have that conversation. But, here's the but. But, it's actually better to jump into a service organization. A service that you know people are looking for. A service that you know people understand, you know people need, and you know is not going away. It's better to jump into a service if you're going to jump out into full-time entrepreneurship, or really even part-time, because whether it's part-time or full-time, you want to make money, right? We all need to make money. We all need more money. And so, start out with a service-based business and then transition into a product-based business later, right? You need to make some cash. And so, anyway, specifically for tech entrepreneurs, let's get into it, techies. Specifically for you, you have an idea for this amazing product. It's going to change the world. It's going to change everyone around you. The world will become greener as soon as you hit the enter button on your MacBook, right? This is the biggest piece of advice I wish I had gotten as I was moving into the space. Are you ready? The biggest piece of advice I wish I had gotten is don't build it yet. Don't build it yet. You don't need to build what your idea is. You don't need to build that software just to become a tech entrepreneur. What you need to do is you need to build excitement. What you need to do is validate the market. What you need to do is guarantee that someone out there wants to buy what you are selling. All right? And how exactly do you do that? How exactly do you go from this idea in your mind to validating whether or not someone will buy this deal? How do you exactly get there, Mr. Entrepreneur, Mr. New Techie? This is what you do. You put up a landing page, right? You get a piece of paper with some names on it, right? What you do is you find low-cost ways of getting people to sign up or walk away, right? And then you count the number of people that are signed up. Simple. Simple. And if you get enough people signed up, if you find enough people who say, I really want this, I need this in my life, right? Then how hard is it to tell those same people, hey, give me $5 for it. Hey, give me 30. Give me 20. What you got on this technology, dog? What do you got? What you got on my 40? Okay? You can ask people for the monies because if they want it, then they'll pay for it. If they really want it, then they'll pay for it. Most of the time when you are creating a technology company, the one of the biggest potholes is that people will tell you, oh, that's a great idea. I can't wait for you to put it out there. I'm going to use it all the time. I'm going to tell my mom about it. I'm going to tell my sister about it. I've got a baby in the womb. I'm going to go tell her about it right now. It's not going to happen. They lying. They puff and smoke. You know, they're just gassing you up because most people don't want to hurt your feelings. Most people really do want you to feel good about yourself and don't want to let you down. But the truth of the matter is, you will be let down. You'll either be let down while you're trying to figure out whether you should pay money, or you'll be let down after you've paid the money. Which one would you prefer? When you are talking to people about your idea, which you should definitely be doing before you build anything, when you're talking to people about your idea, what you need to do is you need to say, hey, like, I like you, you like me, we all a big happy family, right? But I need you to give me some real feedback. I need you to give me the real spill, as they call it, right? At the tea party, huh? What you need to do is say, this is a thing that I might do. Because if you tell them that you're definitely doing it, and you tell them that you put $50,000 into it, they're going to say it's a great idea. Huh. Oh, wow. Wow. Wow, I've never thought of an idea so good as the one you just thrown on me. You can literally have like a poop dispenser, a ball that rolls around, and as it gets to separate parts of the grass, it just drops a little nugget, a little brown dragon right there. It's not a pet, but it's almost like one, right? You see, you can tell people this idea, and if you say, hey, I've sunk $30,000. If I've sunk my life savings into this, then they are not going to have the heart to tell you it's ridiculous. You need to get feedback. Find a way to get a list of people who say, I want this or I don't. If you have zero money, zero time, zero ability to do anything more impressive than a piece of paper, then get your paper. Okay? Get your paper, your pen, and your pad, and you need to hit the streets, right? Count the number of people that you come across and have them write down what their name is and their email, right? And if they will put their name and their email, if they will identify themselves, then they would have, you can tell that they would give up something on some level, right? It might not be money. You can get 1,000 petitions to get, you know, the new water fountain built in the school, but as soon as people find out it's $100,000 to get it built in that school, they just might bring tap. They just might just start sipping out the water hose, okay? So don't bet the farm, all right? Don't bet the farm. And validate as early as you can, as cheaply as you can, as quickly as you can. Because that validation is going to be the reason why you're still in the game and not busted out in the first leg of the race. You know, when you're running track and you got this race that's going to be 4 laps around the track, right? You can go ahead and just sprint as fast as you can, put 100% of your energy in the first leg of the race. But then once you get to the end, while everybody else is still moving, you stopped and you can't go farther. Most people do that in business, especially in tech entrepreneurship. They throw it all away before they have to, right? So let's get into some actual strategies on how you can go around this problem, go around this potential issue, right? And not having spent any money at all, right? We still under the $1,000 bit. We so far below 1,000 that it's at the zero. Erase the 1 and you just got zeros on it, dog. That's what we gonna do for you today. We gonna help you validate that idea for $0. What you need to do is you need to head on over to your favorite website editor, right? It could be Wix. It could be WordPress. It could be Webflow, YoFlow, MyFlow, the Gflow. GoDaddy's even got one. Shoot, MailChimp has got one. It doesn't matter. Get on one of these platforms and create an account and talk about exactly what it is you want to build. You don't need to make it 5 pages long. You don't need to make it 3 pages long. You can literally have, and I recommend, 1 page that talks about what your idea is, right? Talks about exactly what people will get out of your product or your service. And then make sure that they have a way of putting in their name. You can just create a MailChimp account and a free account, by the way. We still in the free range. We've already talked about multiple different kinds of technology, but you're still in the free range. Excuse me. What you can do is you can create a MailChimp account. Create this MailChimp account, attach it to this website, right? And collect email addresses. That is the indicator that someone wants what you have, right? Get enough of those. I'd say you get a certain amount of those. Let's call it 200. 200. Get 200 of these email addresses, and you will have enough validation to move into the next phase, which is not spending a lot of money, right? Get to a point to where you have 100, 200 email addresses, and then you can start to think about what a prototype would look like. You can start to think about, okay, well, what is this product that I wanted to create? Exactly what pieces, like what if a person came to a app or a computer and started to make some interactions, what inputs would they put in? What pieces of information would they put in, and what would happen afterwards? What I'm going to recommend is that you Wizard of Oz this deal. You find a way to fake 100% of that interaction. I don't care if it takes 5 different pieces of software to do the one thing that yours does, right? You want to show that if people come and like your app, then if people come and like your photos, then people will pay for that. The Instagram situation, right? You want to validate that Instagram is a good idea. All you got to do is go to any forum, right? Go to any forum. Start to drop these photos, right? See whether or not people will like them. If they will like them, right? You can go to forum, and people like things on forums all the time. If people will like them, see if you can then go to someone who says, I would pay for a list of people who like a specific thing, right? And let's say that you were posting about cats, right? Let's see if you can find someone who's interested in cat lovers. Would you be able to find someone who is interested in cat lovers? If they won't pay you for a list of cat lovers, then you shouldn't be thinking about what you're doing. If you pour some steam on it, if you keep trying, you go to this forum and that forum and this forum and that forum, you're telling people about your idea, you're telling people about it, nobody is willing to pay, you got an indication. This might not be the time. This might not be the product. This might not be the industry that you need to be in, right? So what you want to do is you want to fake it out. Find a way to use other pieces of software that are free to validate whether or not what you're thinking of is a good idea. You do that, and then it becomes a lot easier to spend money down the line. Now, here's where it gets good. How many people can you get to do that? Let's assume that you did say that you were able to find someone who would say, yeah, I'll give you $1. I'll give you $1 for this group of people, for this technology that you use in here. I don't know exactly how you're doing it, and it doesn't look that pretty, but I care about the people that I'm getting. I care about the cat lovers. I'll pay that $1. How many people can you get to pay for $1? 1, 3, 5, 10. Get to 10. Get to 20. And then make that thing better. Make the prototype better and see if you can get more people. Because you see, you've got $20 of validation now. You got $20 of, yes, this is a good idea. Now you can parlay that. You can push that. You can transfer that energy into improving what you have. Improve what you have and see if you can turn 20 into 40. Right? That's what you need to be thinking about. So, that is the specific strategy that every tech entrepreneur needs to be thinking about. If you are trying to move into the tech space, you need to be thinking about this. But now, the moment that we have been waiting for, right? The actual answer to how you become a tech entrepreneur for under $1,000. Let's say that you have validated this idea. You do have people you can reach out to. You have already created an email list. What do you do now? How do I get my actual app and my website that I need for it for under $1,000? It sounds impossible, right? Well, believe me, I run a technology consulting company. I know the truth here. And the truth is, you can have that, right? You can have it, and you can have it for less than you think. So, let's move into exactly how to do that. Let's assume that you already have your business incorporated, right? Even if you don't, I would say that if you were successful in doing what I told you to before, which is to validate that people want this thing, and you could get the 20 people to pay $1, and you've got an email list, and you've already started to create a way that's like a bit better. You started to create technology that's better than the copy and paste solution that you got on other forums and whatnot, right? Assuming you've done that, you should be in a place where it would be not a terrible idea to incorporate. So go ahead and spend the money to incorporate, or do what I did and incorporate your company for free. I did it myself for both of my companies, and for the other companies I had before this, I didn't even incorporate. I started them, they failed, and I left them too early, which is another problem that entrepreneurs make, by the way, leaving too early. But for the companies that I run today, I created these on my own. And then I went back later after I felt like they were more validated, and I got a lawyer to take a look at what I did and fix my mistakes, right? But for free, you can do that. I paid $250 to get my businesses taken a look at. You can spend $1,000 or whatever, but I would recommend just keep it cheap. Move on beyond that. Incorporation is done. You need a website, right? You can get your website with all of your branding on it and everything that you need for $168 a year. You can head on over to Wix.com, right? Head on over to Wix and create your website, have all of your branding on it for just $14 a month. $14 a month, right? And if you're thinking about WordPress, if you're thinking about Webflow, if you're thinking about Wix, GoDaddy, blah, blah, blah. There are so many choices out there. Look around, because I guarantee you can get it done for even less than that. Even less than that $168 a year, right? So, now you've got a professional website, one with your branding on it, right? You can continue to collect your email addresses. You can continue to tell people about what you're into, about what you're doing. Now, let's assume that you did have that Instagram idea, right? The Instagram of cats, Cattygram, Kittygram. I'm not gonna say the P one, but it's the gram, okay? But it's the gram, right? PG, rated for kids. Anyway, so you have this app idea. Now, what you can do is you can take that website you've already built. It's cheap. You can go and create your app for cheap, for cheaper than you would think. You can go on over to, you ready? You can go on over to Adalo.com, right? Adalo is essentially an app building platform. ADALO.com. It's an app building platform. This platform was created here in St. Louis, Missouri. And you can use this platform to create tons of different apps, right? Get on there, you can create an app, and then you can take it to the marketplace and say, is this valuable to you? How much would you pay? Try to make the money that you would have made from the full-blown, end-all, be-all, $100,000 spend app that you're thinking of in your mind. Take that app, create it in Adalo. Create it using drag and drop, because that's just the age we're in today. You can do these things. You can create just about anything, and you can create it cheaply. Let me tell you what the price is for $1. When I say cheaply, I don't think you get it. Let me go back to my script. As my scripty says, you can create your Adalo app for $600 a year. $600 would pay for you having your own app for an entire year. An entire year you could have your own app. And if you were already successful in getting somebody to pay you that $20 that I recommended before, and then you were able to get to the 40, how much would they pay for something that was actually good looking? They probably pay $2. I wouldn't be raising the prices too much, but they would probably pay $2. Go out there, use your product to make money, use your product to grow your brand, and then say, okay, well, I can now invest more. I can do better than this. But the question is, how exactly do you do better? How do you go bigger when you're using these drag and drop, copy and paste-ish type websites and products? How do you grow it beyond that? Well, that's where it gets a bit more difficult. That's where it gets a bit more complicated. And I would say that you can look it up online. You can try and become a technology expert, over the course of, 5 minutes. But what's actually recommended is that you come to an expert. Come to an expert, right? Head on over to www.woods&tech.com and sign up for a free discovery call. Sign up for a free discovery call, and we'll have a chat around exactly what you need to take your strategy and expand on it. We'll talk about exactly what types of things you can do, whether you want to do it for free, whether you want to do it paid, or whether you want to spend a full $100K on your app build out. We can help you move through each of those phases and deliver your products into the app stores, into the website, into the wild, so you can grow your brand and give value. Give value to your customers, right? We can help you get there. So I hope you guys got something out of this today. I just gave you an entire tech entrepreneurship blueprint for under $1,000, right? And I didn't even say that in the title, but all of this is free. Adalo has a free version. Wix has a free version. I incorporated my business for free, and I guarantee you, if you go around to enough schools, they will give you a piece of paper and a clipboard so that you can write down emails for free, right? MailChimp is free, okay? There's so much opportunity here. You can create your entire business. You can validate everything that you need to do for $0. Do it for $0, then do it for $500 or $600, then come to the expert so that we can get it done and get it done right for less money than it would cost if you try to do it on your own and then realize that you have to come to me, right? So if you're a person who's trying to say, I want to get into entrepreneurship, think about how much cash you have on hand, right? Do you already have tons of money in the bank? Fine. Do what you want to do. Figure out what you want to go for and go for it. I recommend that you validate along the way, right? If you have zero money, zero cash, right? Invest in yourself. Get the books you need to understand. Get the courses that you need to understand. Buy the training for certain parts of your business, right? You have the next phase. You have about $600. Do the cheap things that you can do to get your business off the ground, right? You got more than that. You start to get into that $900,000 range. Come to me. Come to me. And even before then, even throughout this whole process, you got $0. Sign up for the discovery call. Let me tell you what I think as an expert you can do to start executing on your idea for $0, right? I would be happy to record our session and give it to you for free so that you have a broken down report of how you can start your business, and you haven't even paid any money yet. Come on. Come on. You haven't even paid a dime yet, and you have a full-blown tech strategy. You become a software entrepreneur for $0. How can you beat it? How can you beat that value? You can't. All right? So, feel free to go back to this live, watch it again, understand what I'm saying here. Understand that you do not need to be spending thousands of dollars if you want to get into entrepreneurship. Whether you want to create a tech business or whether you just want to add tech to the existing business that you have, starting out with a $100,000 strategy is the wrong strategy, right? It takes too much money, too much resources, too much time to get all of that done, and you haven't even gotten your feet wet. You haven't even started to figure out what your name is yet, right? Elon Musk says, and I'm going to wrap it up with this. Elon Musk says, if the design is long, then the design is wrong, right? If it takes you a year to create the first validation that you need for your product, then you are validating in an incorrect way. You need to go back to the drawing board. If it takes you $100,000 just to know whether or not someone's going to use your product, go back to the drawing board. You got the wrong idea. Use these strategies. Use a solid foundation of knowledge, a solid foundation of thinking by watching this video a second time, getting a discovery call with me, www.woods&tech.com, and you go create that business of your dreams. All right, everyone. Have a great one.